question Paul George is a Hall of
I
Famer.
wouldn't say no question.
How about the NBA make the Hall of Fame harder to get into?
It's unfair to compare Blake Griffin to now Dirk and Dwayne Wade.
But they're Hall of Famers, so they should be. That's a fucking Hall of Fame resume. Let's play Hall of Famer or not. Let's start off with Kyrie Irving. Hall of Famer or not?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
Paul George.
Absolutely no question Paul George is a Hall of
I
Famer.
wouldn't say no question.
No
I
question
think maybe
about
like in 2 to 3 years, I'll say definitely yes. If he retired right now, like we're talking about, like, is he a Hall of Famer right now in this instant?
Yes.
Kyrie, yes. Paul George,
He's been a top 5 player for way too many years to not be a Hall of Famer. He's been in the league for 13 years, and he's been an All-Star 8 of them. If you've been an All-Star player for more than half of your career, you're a Hall of Famer. That means you're the cream of the crop for the largest percentage of your years.
Hold on. He will probably be a Hall of Famer because the NBA pretty much lets anybody into the Hall of Fame because it is the Basketball Hall of Fame.
But let's also
it's
making
very
that
don't
argument.
downplay.
No.
But
How
also-
about the NBA make the Hall of Fame harder to get into?
That's
How about
fine.
that?
I'm okay
that's
with that.
unfair to
I'm
the
okay.
first guys who are up when they're like, you know what, we're gonna be like strict this year, and like, all right, fuck me.
Man,
I
it's
guess.
like,
sucks.
but I'm saying
It sucks, but it is what it
it's
is.
like student loans.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what
Yeah.
it is. You went through it, so
Way
you
to
wouldn't
bring
have
it
to.
Listen, I just don't think with what Paul George has been doing, like he doesn't have the playoff success. Been hurt in the past couple of years. It's just been up and down, on and off.
That's not his fault.
For me, like if you're gonna make it into the Hall of Fame, there has to be a moment or a thing that you did throughout your career that elevates you to that status of Hall of Fame,
Absolutely.
right? And I feel like the NBA is so easy with letting players into the Hall of Fame. It's gotten really ridiculous. Paul George is a high-level player. A lot of people love Paul George. A lot of people think Paul George is their GOAT. But it's just like, realistically, what has Paul George done? Can you tell me anything that Paul George has done in the playoffs or anything that propelled his team to a championship? No, right?
That's not what I think is like Hall of Fame though.
That matters though.
Even like if you don't want to talk about like All-Star, like All NBA, you are like the guy, one of the top 3 guys of your position. I said he played 13 years. One of the you take out the year he got hurt, where he only played 6 games, so he only played 12 years. All NBA 6 years. That's still half of your time in the NBA. You've been top 3 at your position. You are a Hall of Famer, Paul George.
Cool. Is Blake Griffin a Hall of Famer?
No.
Yes.
Why?
Blake is another guy who's averaged 20+ points for a large percentage. Of the
Come
year.
on.
He's been a top player.
Come on.
Dude, I
talking
think
about
you
here?
guys are bugging.
What are
Like,
we
Bro,
talking
you're
about
just giving
here?
anybody a Hall of Famer because they had good numbers. It has to be something else more than just
five-time
numbers.
All-Star.
Okay. Fan voted. Let's call it what it is.
That's
listen,
absolutely
also-
not what it is. That's a third of it.
Okay, fine. It's a third of it. But still, Pistons Blake Griffin was nice. Since then, what has he done?
He was great before that.
Yes,
you're looking
he
at the
had
wrong
what
side
did
of
he
his
have?
career.
So just because a player has like a sick 5, I wouldn't even say like a very, very good 5-year stretch, he gets in the Hall of Fame right away.
He's
6
averaged 20+ points per game for 8 of the last 9 years.
I put D Rose in the Hall
Or
of
if
Fame.
8
and
of his first 9 years, excuse me.
I put D Rose in the Hall of Fame, but that's because he won an MVP on top of that. The youngest to ever do it. Blake Griffin hasn't done none of that shit.
I don't care about 1 year though.
Yeah, but it has to be more than that. I understand your argument, but my thing is like, I think it's too easy for us people to get into the Hall of Fame, and I think we need to have a harder criteria for people to get into the Hall of Fame.
Like I said before, I don't think it's fair to the guys who are up next to say, all right, rules are just harder now.
Why not?
It's just not
Why
fair.
not? It's not fair. Life isn't fair. Anything is not fair.
So we're just going to pick like a year and be like, all right, you guys are the suckers. It's
All right,
harder.
but my
not
thing
even
is like,
that.
even if you look at the NFL, right? People get into the Hall of Fame where you're like, but they get in like years later, right? And I think it's kind of different with the NFL and NBA, but I think it needs to be like, all right, if you're going to get into the NBA Hall of Fame, maybe we need to push this back a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, D-Wade and Dirk deserve it. Because Dirk has been a legend. He changed the game. One of the best shooting bigs of all time. He won a championship. He's probably had the hardest route to win the championships. He's been to 2 finals. He's been an MVP. He has the resume for it. If you look at Dwayne Wade and you look at his resume, he has 3 championships. He has 1 without Braun. He has a finals MVP, scoring titles, first team NBA, first team all defense, all that shit. That's a fucking Hall of Fame resume.
It's unfair to compare Blake Griffin to now Dirk and Dwayne Wade.
But they're Hall of Famers, so they should be. That's the comparison. If you're going to be in the Hall of Fame, that's how you got to be compared with those type of guys. No?
You're talking about like the top 10% of the Hall of Fame. There are so many other guys who are in it who had careers more like a Blake Griffin, where you were scoring 20 points per game year in and year out, one of the top players on a playoff team year in, year out. The consistency is there.
But that means everybody can get into the Hall of Fame. Because there's been a lot of players that have been top.
Derrick Rose cannot because he was not a Hall of Fame. He was not a top tier talent for a large percentage of his career. So everybody cannot.
But he's won an MVP.
And he's the only MVP.
We cannot put that under the rug.
He's the only MVP to win MVP, and then your career just plummet. For
I'm
unfortunate reasons, all the same. But
I'm on the fence of Derrick Rose. I think Derrick Rose should get in before Blake Griffin. Listen, these guys, they'll probably get it. You take into account all basketball, too. It's not just the NBA career. It's the college career. It's your international career as well. Like, Paul George got a gold medal. Like, Blake Griffin was sick in college. Like, you take all that into account, they will be Hall of Famers. Kyrie's the one, no doubt, that we just talked about. Paul George will probably, in 2 to 3 years, he'll expand his game. He'll probably get better. Maybe the Clippers will actually do something. I don't know. But Blake Griffin, it's tough because of his early years, he was unbelievable. Now it's a crazy drop-off. He's the 13th guy on the Celtics bench last year.
I mean, he's old.
I know.
He's been in the league for a long time. A guy falling off when he's older does not make him not a Hall of Fame talent.
He's 34 years old. He's been on the
That's
fall.
old.
He's been on the fall since 30.
That's fucking old as hell.
What are we talking about? Kevin Love is playing actual minutes with the Miami Heat
Kevin Love is a different kind of player, bro.
Kevin Durant.
So is Kevin Love a Hall of Famer?
Kevin Love was not an athletic, leaping, jumping, dunking freak. So his game is not going to deteriorate as he gets older.
Kevin Durant.
We can't compare Blake Griffin to Kevin Durant.
Why not?
Because I'm not arguing that Blake Griffin is Kevin Durant. I'm arguing that Blake Griffin belongs to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, all right.
Two very different things. I'm not saying Blake Griffin is an all-time talent.
He probably will get in. I just don't see it.
I'm glad you're not on the voting.
Yeah, I guess.
Does JBobby make you angry? Well, that's good. Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, baby.